Mellow greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet. And today, with an extremely bad post debate hangover, I, uh, I thought we'd talk about the travesty, the car wreck, the dumpster fire that was Trump Biden debate number three. Now, I wish I could say I had been playing one of those awesome, cool debate bingo drinking games that all the hip, fun, left blue checkmark Twitter people play, but, still banned from Twitter. So, can't really do that. I pretty much just had to keep drinking to force myself to stay watching the debate. I don't know about the rest of you, but that was painful. I sometimes forget just how ridiculously Donald Trump can be because when he's at his rallies, he takes pauses and he does his showman shtick and he plays and he goes back and forth with the crowd. But in a debate format, he is just unbearable because he's going to make the same three arguments. He's going to use the same four retorts. He's going to just keep interrupting. He's always going to have something to say. I mean, look, I'm not a huge fan of Donald Trump. That's fine. With that being said, let's do all the real basic post debate shit. Who won the debate? Nobody won the debate. Okay, there wasn't a knockout punch. There wasn't a killer moment. It was two old men flinging the same four insults at each other, asking the same three questions, and trying to make the same 2 points. If you were a Trump fan or a Trump supporter going into the debate last night, you woke up this morning, you checked all the Twitter feeds of all the other Trump supporters, and you read all the Fox News stories, and thus, you watch Trump, you're a Trump dude, and Trump won the debate. And if you're a Biden fan or a Democrat, it's the same thing. You watched the debate, you said, hey, Biden looked great, and you woke up this morning and blue checkmark lefty Twitter confirmed your feelings. And did anybody's mind really get changed last night? Were there undecided people who were sitting around like going, I mean, the country's pretty bad, but it's not like it was great, back before where there was Biden. I just don't know which two of these people I prefer. I could go either way, really. Like, how many of those people are there left? Like four? I mean, I know the Democratic Party will spend $100 million to try to get those four while ignoring everybody else. But, at the end of the day, this wasn't a debate that really moved the needle. I was the same few points from Trump. You could see early on he was trying to behave. That normally lasts less than an hour. And then he just goes back to being Trump. He can't help himself. He's a giant petulant man baby. Biden, he had a couple of good jabs. He had a couple of good counters. But Biden's not somebody who's ever going to dominate a debate. He's just not that guy. But no, nobody really won. So rather than doing the whole, let's see who won this, let's see who had the best answer to this, I just want to pick out a few things that I found to be ludicrously incredulous while watching that shitstorm last night. I don't know. Well, we'll see what the rest of y'all think, because I'm sure everybody had a moment where they were like, I can't believe that just happened. But again, it's 2020, so everything you can't believe would happen has probably happened. All right, so here's what we got. Number one, Trump on COVID-19. I take full responsibility. It's not my fault. I literally was watching that in real time last night, and I had to look over at my wife and go, did that shit just happen? Like, did he really just say that? And I don't have the DVR, so I couldn't rewind it. And I had to check it again this morning. And I was like, oh, yeah, that happened. Here you go. President Donald Trump seemed poised to take responsibility for his failure at COVID-19 at Thursday's presidential debate, and then he didn't. I take full responsibility, Trump said. He immediately continued, it's not my fault it came here. It's China's fault. It's a big contradiction, but it's emblematic of Trump's approach to the coronavirus. Time and time again, Trump has tried to downplay the coronavirus and dodge responsibility, all while failing to embrace the kind of messaging and policy approach that experts recommend. Asked about failures on testing early on, Trump said in March, quote, I don't take responsibility at all. Asked about the 1,000 COVID-19 deaths a day in the U.S. at the time, Trump said in July, it is what it is. So let's be cut and dry about it. Everything, all the media spin, everything that's been coming out for the last week and a half about everything that doesn't have to deal with COVID is solely the Trump camp trying to make sure that they don't have to talk about COVID. Most of Europe is reopened now. The Chinese economy is now fully kicked back into gear, and they're running at twice the pace we are. Donald Trump even got the Rona, and he couldn't play that to his advantage. His response to the coronavirus and 200,000 dead Americans, it's an ass kicking he can't get away from. So, most of what they're trying to do is steer away from it. However, when he had an opportunity to sound somewhat human about it, no, he decided to say that he takes full responsibility and that it's not his fault. It's peak Trump. It's just, he was very on brand. All right. Let's get to Hunter Biden. Now, I don't know if Trump got the memo or not, but he's not actually running for president against Hunter Biden. He's running against Joe Biden, which is funny because he normally accuses Joe Biden of being the one who has the bad memory. And yet, for some strange reason, Donald Trump can't remember who he's running against. But I digress. So one of his big things last night was he was going to try to hammer on this Hunter Biden story. I know some people have caught some of it. Some people probably saw the debate last night. People who weren't plugged in and watch a lot of news and were like, what the hell are they talking about? A laptop, $1 trillion, what's going on? So I thought I'd break this one down real quick just to explain how ludicrously hype this is. This is the Hail Mary. This is when apparently Rudy Giuliani somehow comes up with a laptop from the owner of a computer repair store in Delaware who's blind, who apparently Hunter Biden flew from California to Delaware, dropped off his laptops to get fixed, and then left and then forgot about it. And then somehow the blind computer repairman went through all the files, found that he had done a whole bunch of outrageous shit, and then mailed that laptop to the New York Post and Rudy Giuliani. That's basically the gist of the setup. But the story goes way back. Here's the mountain of bullshit, okay? The disinformation campaign appears to have been successful in its goal of generating a smear against the former vice president's son. The New York Post published an article on October 14th that said it was based on leaked private photos from Hunter Biden's personal hard drive, including photos that appeared to show the younger Biden sleeping and screenshots of an unverified email claiming he had used his position on the board of an energy company to set up a meeting with his father, then the vice president, Joe Biden. Both Bidens have denied any wrongdoing, with Joe Biden recently calling the allegations a last-ditch effort in this desperate campaign to smear me and my family. I think last night he actually busted out malarkey when Trump tried to beat him over the head with this. He actually called it malarkey. I would also like to point out that as Donald Trump spent a solid 90 minutes last night screaming about how Biden's family was enriched by Biden's position and how they are a crime family. Jared Kushner, who's Donald Trump's son-in-law, married to Ivanka, the goddess of Trump's, well, his company has received more than $90 million in foreign funding since 2016, most of it coming from Saudi Arabia and Qatar. So maybe, just maybe, Trump shouldn't be talking shit about people's kids being crooked. Now, last thing I'm going to go over, because this hangover is killing me. Jameson whiskey, you are both my friend and my bitter enemy. I think the one that kills me the most about Donald Trump is when he drones on and on about how he is the president who has done more for black people than any other president in the history of America, except for, perhaps, Abraham Lincoln. And even then, he feels there's an argument to be made. This is one of the Trump tropes. Trump tends to come out with a good line every once in a while he's blathering for 2 hours at a time. He gets a response and in his brain he files it away and it becomes part of his repertoire and he busts it out again. Like last night he busted out the quote about Hunter Biden and the Biden clan being like giant vacuum cleaners that just vacuum up all the money anywhere they go. He had used that 3 nights ago in a rally. It resonated. He got a laugh and applause. He busted out the same exact sentence with the same exact timing and spacing last night in the debate. Now, Donald Trump doesn't understand history. Donald Trump doesn't understand context. Donald Trump doesn't read. There's a lot of things Donald Trump doesn't know. But turning around and saying that you do so much for black people, maybe even more than Abraham Lincoln completely discounts all of the negative work you do, all of the racist things you say, and most importantly, that you can still simultaneously very much dislike or even hate Black people, brown people, people of color, non-white people, and still, quote, do things for Black people. Just because you oversaw the tail end of the growth of the gig economy and how employers have completely stopped hiring people full-time. So now they hire 2 or 3 part-time employees instead of 1 full-time employee, so they don't have to pay them benefits or give them raises or anything like that. So yeah, look at the number of people who have a job that actually pays a living wage, then get back to me, okay? I would like to remind everybody that President Lincoln, although yes, he oversaw the Civil War, and, the Emancipation Proclamation, and freed the slaves, I would like to remind everybody of who Abraham Lincoln was, and the fact that Donald Trump likes to consistently compare himself to Abraham Lincoln because he has no concept of history. This was one of President Lincoln's speeches in 1858 when he was stumping for the presidency, and he was explaining to people as he went city to city what his attitude was towards Black people and what they deemed the Black race back in the day, because frankly, there were a lot of states he wasn't going to carry because people weren't really into the idea of Black people being free citizens, okay? Language warning ahead of time. This was written in 1858, okay? Here you go, Lincoln's speech. Quote, "While I was at the hotel today, an elderly gentleman called upon me to know whether I was really in favor of producing a perfect equality between the Negroes and white people. While I had not proposed to myself on this occasion to say much on that subject, yet as the question was asked to me, I thought I would occupy perhaps 5 minutes in saying something in regard to it. I will say then that I am not, nor have ever been, in favor of bringing about in any way the social and political equality of the Black and white races, that I am not ever in favor of making voters or jurors of Negroes, nor of qualifying them to hold office, nor to intermarry with white people. And I will say in addition to this that there is a physical difference between the white and Black races, which I believe will forever forbid the 2 races living together on terms of social and political equality. And in so much as they cannot so live while they do remain together, there must be the position of superior and inferior. And I, as much as any man, am in favor of having the superior position assigned to the white race." So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The man that Donald Trump is historically comparing himself to. Big round of applause for Donald Trump. That's it, everybody. Debate season is over. Trump and his organization will probably try to put out some more disinfo about Hunter Biden while not mentioning Jared Kushner. Donald Trump will probably compare himself to more dead presidents who were racists. And things will pretty much go on as they were. So again, as I have done a bunch of times already, I'm going to remind you all that there is less than 2 weeks before the election. Joe Biden is polling higher than Donald Trump, and the only way those poll numbers translate into victory is if everybody who's polled and everybody who reads polls actually goes out and votes, because polls don't vote, people do. Keep your eye on the prize, people. Peace.